How much time did you actually serve?
Well, a total of 22 years straight.
22 years.
Was incarcerated in 1998 and released in 2018.
Okay.
2019, I'm sorry, October 15th.
Okay. Wow. And so while you were in there, like, what was how was it, while you were incarcerated? Like, and like, how was it up until you ran into POP? Like, how was that journey? Like, how was that road that, you were traveling down, inside the institution up until you got connected with the power of people? Like, how was that?
Well, the first few years were kind of rough, being there, being young, being 28 years old. And they had different programs in there. And it didn't take long for me to figure out, the programs are helpful, but to me, they were more cosmetic. Look, this is what you have to do. Let's do this because it was court ordered or something like that. I did get into one program in there that was a decent program. It was the IFI. Then it switched over to, I can't remember the name now, but it switched over. But there were a few guys that always talked about POP, and I think I was kind of turned off by the cosmetic programs that they had. So, not saying that they didn't help people, because if you dig into something, you'll get something out of it. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go. And when I went, I quickly found out that it wasn't a cosmetic type program. It wasn't a program at all. And I like how they said, I am the help, that I'm looking for. Absolutely. And I didn't understand that, right? So what POP did was it made me dig into that. I remember the first session that we had, and it was about pain and suffering. Living in that place of suffering, and choosing to live in that place of suffering. And I'm like, wait a minute. Choosing to live in that place of suffering. And that place of suffering was continuing to say, oh, woe is me. This happened to me all these years ago. Not saying what happened wasn't relevant, but I was still stuck in that place.
Gotcha.
And didn't understand that I was stuck in that place. So what POP did, it helped me realize that I was stuck in that place and I could get out of that place of suffering, right? And once I got out of that place of suffering, it was like a whole new mindset, of uncharted territory.
Wow. You kind of, and that's powerful, man. You kind of already answered my next question, but it was like, what was the dynamic that attracted you to POP on the inside? You kind of already touched on that, but just brush on it a little more.
The realness. Guys getting up in front of other men and putting their stuff out there. Deep-rooted stuff. I put things out there that I hadn't told anybody before. And here I am putting it out in front of a bunch of men and them saying, thank you for putting that out there, because you putting it out there helped me put it out there.
Right.
It was the raw realness of everything. It was out there, and the one thing that Brother Shane said, he said, once you put your garbage out there, if someone chooses to pick your garbage up and take it around, that's on them. You put it out there, So that helped me even now to be able to be real and be raw and not cover up and hold, things in. Because, it's like when you hold things in, they fester.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they come out in the wrong kind of way. So
Absolutely.
that was one of the dynamics of it. It removed that fear of judgment.
Absolutely. Wow. Wow. And so, as you said, I mean, there were other programs in the institution, and you said they were, I think if I quote you correctly, cosmetic,
Yeah,
cookie cutter is what I
right,
like to
right,
say, like a one size fits all type of.
absolutely. It
And
wasn't personal.
you were exactly.
POP is personal.
It didn't have that intimate, and that's what I was going to ask you. So why did you buy into power people versus the cookie cutter approach?
Because see, in now, like I said, I'm not knocking their programs because I'm pretty sure it helped some people. It helped me organize things, but it didn't get deep. You know, they already had the paperwork for you to do, the questions, the answer, and they were not questions. Some of the questions weren't questions that you were looking for. In POP, you came up with your own question,
Right.
and you came up with your own answer. You know, and like I said before, the personal part, the getting up in front of men, you know, without this, even with the fear, pushing through the fear,
No ego,
no ego, and just putting it out there, no judgment.
no
Now,
judgment.
in these other programs, you know, that wasn't a thing. You just turned paperwork in, you know, and okay, you're good, move on.
Got the certificate and
Move
moved on.
you know.
And you never heard from those people a day in your life.
And then when you ask, well, what did you get out of that class? Well, I got the certificate. But what did you get out of the class?
And that kind of leads me, and that's so powerful. That kind of leads me to the next question was, why did you, because after you took and completed the class, you yourself could have said, okay, I got the certificate, I'm gone. I'm going on and doing something else. What made you stay and continue to be a part of the POP movement? Because you didn't have to.
No. What made me say is it was the family element of POP.
Gotcha.
It was the how can I put it? If you were doing something, you know, there was a reprimand. You know, and I didn't have that hesitation for a reprimand except with my parents. Now, in these other programs, excuse me, in these other programs, there was no, you know, you're out of the class. That's it, you're done. And you wouldn't try to get back in. You didn't want to be out of POP.
No.
That's why I came back, you know, as a student teacher, you know, to continue because it was so enlightening to me. It was so eye-opening to me. It was so soul-opening to me. I had to come back and give it to other people. Now, I was incarcerated a long time.
Absolutely.
And it was a lot of people that saw me one way, you know, and there was a lot of things that they didn't know about me. And then I started telling the guys, look, you need to come to POP. You need to come here. Because I found people talking to me about their deep-rooted stuff, and I didn't understand why. But this was after I took POP. And the reason why was because they saw something different in me. They saw the openness in me. They saw the rawness in me. They saw the, you know, compassion in me. You know, I can come to this person, I can talk to this person. And I said, well, look, you need to come to this POP. You need to come to Power People. I don't call it a program. It's not a program. It's power of people.
Right. Not power to the people.
Right. Power of people. Right. And I found my power there.
Wow. Wow. And so, aside from, finding your power, can you think of any ways that the power people were able to support you in any way?
Absolutely. That's so easy. Pop told me when I called it Shane Price. We called it Pop. Pop told me, he said, look, don't worry about nothing else. I got you. You know, and I'm getting ready to get out of here. You know, there's a nervousness. I'm gone a long time. You know, and the things go through your head real fast. A job, housing, vehicle. How are people gonna look at me? You know,
Absolutely.
and with my parole officer. So when Pop said, I got you, you know, I had this thing about trusting people. But when I went to POP, that thing about trusting people, because I trusted it, all of these men who didn't really know me on my background, I put everything out there. I trusted. So I broke through that thing. So when he said he had me, I got out of prison October 15th of 2019.
Yes, sir.
I moved into one of the Power People houses. Next day, the 16th,
Absolutely.
right?
I remember.
I went to a job interview. The 17th, I started working.
Wow.
The 18th, I went to go see my parole officer. And I kind of told my parole officer, say, how long is this going to be? Because I got to get back to work. And she was shocked. She said, you got a job?
Already.
I'm like, yeah. She said, how did you do that? I said, Power People. She said, but how did you do it? I said, well, I got out on the 15th, had the interview on the 16th, started working on the 17th. It was already ready. It was right there for me.
Right.
Ready made, right there for me.
Wow.
So when I say, when he said he had me and still has me,
Right.
you know, I mean, completely. And it was so stressless. It was stressless. I moved into a house. I didn't go to a halfway house. You know, you hear some horror stories about the halfway houses.
Yeah.
You hear some horror stories about the so-called sober houses.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but in this house, you don't hear no horror stories.
No.
And anything that happens in that house that causes you to be removed from that house is something that you have done.
Right.
And Pop, Shane Price, he's a man of second and third and fourth chances.
Right.
But you can bet your bottom dollar you're going to hear about it. He's going to let you know, and you're going to sit there and you're going to listen.
Right.
Because this man and his wife genuinely love people and care about people.
Absolutely, man.
I mean, genuinely. There's nothing fake or cosmetic about either one of them.
Wholeheartedly.
And I'll fight the person tooth and nail if they say anything different.
Absolutely, man. And I wondered, can you think of any significant, and I mean, to what you just named in itself was an accomplishment. Coming out, securing employment, and housing, which are the two biggest barriers and hurdles for those of us returning back into society.
Absolutely.
But I mean, were there any other, personal milestones or accomplishments that you could think of that maybe you want to, shine light on?
Yeah, there is. I have a son. He's 23 years old. When I went to prison, he was a baby.
Absolutely.
And I found him. Well, he found me 17 years in. And
wow.
It was a thing that before I got to POP, I was just basically telling him things. basic. You know, hey, don't do drugs and don't have no babies and don't be in no gangs and respect your mother. Don't carry no weapons. It was all that, you know.
Telling them what not to do, but not
Right.
what to do.
What to do.
Yeah.
Right. And after being in POP and opening up the way I was able to open up, I got more intimate with my son.
Wow.
You know, and I literally was not in this kid's life, this young man's life, his entire life. And, you know, I'm a firm believer in God. And I say God is positional. He put things in place for you.
Absolutely.
And I feel that he put POP in place for me. Because there was something that I needed. And by being able to do that, I was able to get more intimate with my son. And me and this young man is just like I've been in his life this entire life. And that was the biggest milestone in my life, right then and there.
Wow.
I learned through POP how to be a father, not just a supplier.
Right.
You know, I learned how to be a father. I learned how to be intimate with him, and by me being intimate with him looking at me a certain way, looking up to me, listening to all the things that I did in the past. You know, that lifestyle is exciting to a young man, and hearing that his father, you know, this tough guy and this and that, so on and so forth. But not understanding how to be a man.
Absolutely.
You know,
which is priceless.
You can't put a price on it.
Can't put a price on that, man.
You know, so POP helped me learn, believe it or not, at the age of, in my late 40s, I'm 50 now, how to be a man.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right. And there's no embarrassment about it.
Absolutely not.
You know, there's a feeling of accomplishment out. That's the only way I can put it. And by doing that, I'm able to teach him. And just the other day, I got a little reprimand from him. You know, hey, Dad, you got to keep it together. You can't be, you know, out here, you know. And by me being intimate with him, he felt that I can say this to him.
And that connection.
Is
there.
And I sat on the phone quietly and listened. And I told him, you were absolutely right.
Wow.
You know, so that was one of my biggest accomplishments.
Absolutely. You know? And again, that's priceless. And you know, that kind of leads me to this next question, which is it's a hard question for me. But where do you think you would be without the power of people?
Oh, it's not a hard question. Struggling.
Right.
Struggling. Because being in a halfway house, a halfway house is an extension of prison.
Absolutely.
You know, and these are all government things. So they're all an extension of prison. You know, they take your money. So you can't save any money. And I'm sorry, but they're drug infested.
Absolutely.
Gang infested.
Absolutely.
You know, it's the only difference is, to me, from prison is they're allowed to go out and come back in.
Exactly.
So in that type of atmosphere, even with POP, it would have been a struggle, a headache every day, a struggle, and there wouldn't have been any type of safety for me. And I'm not talking physical, but I'm talking about safety.
Yeah, it's not a healing environment.
Right, it's not a healing environment.
Absolutely.
It's a rigid, superstructured environment. You know, and getting out of prison, going to from a rigid, superstructured environment to another rigid, superstructured environment.
Right.
is something else. Pop has how many rules for living in his house? It's a house. It's a sober house.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
You can't do drugs there.
Can't do drugs there. Don't smoke in there.
No.
You know, you can't
No
bring your
women.
lady friends in there.
Yeah, none of that.
You know, no weapons in there. But other than that, it's a relaxing environment.
Which you don't need any of that anyway while you're in your transition stage.
Period. Because these are things that can get you sent right back to prison.
Absolutely.
Right back to prison. And coming from a rigid structured environment to a home environment.
Wow.
A home.
Right.
Not an extension of prison, a home.
A home. With a family.
With a family. Go and come as you please. Nobody you got to pay rent. You can't live anywhere free. You got to pay rent, but the rent is so minimal that you can save money.
Because the goal is to get you structured so that you can function on your own.
On your own, and there's no time limit to living in a pop house.
Right.
As long as you pay your rent, do what you're supposed to do, you can stay in there as long as you want.
Absolutely.
You know.
So,
but in a halfway house, you only got a certain amount of time, and you got to be out of there.
Absolutely.
You know, so how you gonna save money in 90 days if they take all your money and you got to get out? Now you're super struggling.
Yeah.
Not in no pop house. That's not gonna happen.
Absolutely, man.
So that wasn't a hard question for me.
I can dig it. So, now we at the Power of People, we call each other Pop Guy.
Yeah.
We say, hey, Pop Guy.
Right.
Hey, this is a Pop Guy. No, he's different. That's a Pop Guy.
Right.
Now, we at POP understand the definition of what a Pop Guy is.
Absolutely.
What is your definition of a Pop Guy?
Okay. Now I'm gonna say one word: integrity. Right? Yeah, we're human. We're men. Right? But a pop guy, right? He's accountable for the things that he does.
Wow.
And we hold each other accountable for the things that the other brother does. Right?
Yes, sir.
And a pop guy is somebody you can pick up the phone and say, hey man, look, I got a job interview over here and I don't know how to get there. Well, I'll be on my way. That's a pop guy. A pop guy is a guy that would pop Shane Price, say, hey, look, I got a situation somewhere. Some people need some help. I need some pop guys. And we're there. It's not a place where we're going to get paid to go do something.
Right.
A pop guy contributes to his community, right? And we help people and we help each other and we hold each other accountable, you know?
Absolutely.
That's what a pop guy is to me. A pop guy is somebody that you can call and they go, if they can't figure it out, they gonna connect you to somebody that can figure it out. And if they can't, everybody's gonna get together and they're gonna brainstorm and we're gonna figure it out. That's what a pop guy is.
Wow.
You know, and people, we stand out to people.
Absolutely.
A pop guy, people are attracted to pop guys. They don't even know why they're attracted to pop guys. They just know, I want to be in this thing here.
Whatever
with these
it
guys is. I don't know what's going on with these guys, but I want to be with these guys over here.
Right.
And who is this guy they keep calling Pop? And who is this guy they keep calling, or this woman they keep calling Dr. Price? Who are they? Right. Who are these people?
That's true.
When you meet them, you'll find out.
Absolutely. And, you know, that kind of led me to my last question. If you could say anything to Pop, Brother Shane, or Dr. Verna, what would you like to say to him?
Well, first of all, Pop and Mom, you know, I mean, thank you doesn't fit. You know, I mean, it's not enough. It's that I pray that God continues to give them the strength to continue to do what they do. Because I love them both dearly. I do. I mean, their love for people. There's a word called agape. You know, and agape is the love God has for us. And I mean, I'm not ashamed to say it, but I feel like that Brother Shane Price and Dr. Verna Price has a hint or a blessing from God, and was given just a taste of agape love to share with everybody else. That's the only way I can explain how they love people.
Absolutely.
That's the only way I can explain it. And I thank them with everything that I have. And they call, I'm coming.
Wow.
No question. No question asked. If they need me to do, I'll do. No question asked. Not because they gave me a place to stay, they helped me get a job, but because of their love. Their love for me is I have to. That's the only way I can see myself returning it. But Pop told me one time that a thank you to him is staying out of prison. He said, when you succeed, I succeed.
Wow.
You fail, I fail.
Wow.
And he doesn't like failing.
Not at all.
At all. So I love them both with everything that I have.
Wow.
You know, they're an extension of my family.
Absolutely.
I talk to my mother and my father. My father's 87 years old. My mother's 78 years old. And I talk to them about Shane and Dr. Price all the time. So much that my parents like, I want to meet these people.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Because the adulation that you give them, I just have to meet them. And I think my mother said, I thank God for them.
Wow.
So that's what I have to say about Dr. Price and Brother Shane Price, who I lovingly call Pop and Mom.
We don't look like what we've been through.
Absolutely.
On any level.
Absolutely.
But.
And that's the goal.
Yeah. And, you know, you did not let your past define who you are. And, you know, you discovered your personal power. And you're using it.
Absolutely. There was a piece of paper. And the piece of paper, I don't know who wrote it, but it said, no matter how dirty your past is, your future is spotless.